Welcome back to Golf and Curious, and today I'm going to show you how to improve your golf swing. Now, it's really impossible to try and achieve perfection. However, I'm going to give you 14 simple steps to help build confidence, grow your golf game and start strutting down the fairways. Step number 1 is to use your whole body. It's really important in the golf swing that we don't just use our arms. If we've ever seen anybody swing like this, we're pretty certain that they don't achieve a lot of consistency and they don't achieve a lot of power. So if we think about other sports like tennis, baseball, we're always trying to use our full body. We'll make a good turn, we'll plant the lead foot, and then we'll turn through to face the target. If we think about that in the golf swing, if I build my setup and then use my whole body, I'm going to try and make sure that my head stays down at the ball. I'm going to make a good turn with the shoulders, and I'm going to make a follow through where I finish balanced, tall, and facing the target. It's definitely going to be a sure way to find more consistency and get the ball flying through the air longer. My second top tip is to do the turn, shift, turn drill, which is definitely going to help link in to that body movement to make sure we get more consistency out of your game. So if we build a setup, from here, I want to make sure that my head stays pointing down at the golf ball. I'm going to put my arms across my chest. From here, I'm going to make a big backswing, make sure I get a full chest turn. And then in transition, I'm going to make sure that I try and get a bit of a bump where I'm transitioning that pressure to the lead side, coming down into the follow through and finishing tall, facing the target. So again, if we go back through that, I'm down at the golf ball, make a big turn, transition some pressure and turn through into the follow through, staying nice and tall. My third tip coming at you is to improve your golf grip. A golf grip is a surefire way of being able to hit better shots more often. Especially if you're new to the game, I would definitely consider starting with a neutral grip. Now there's lots of different ways to hold a golf club, but I'm just going to show you 3 simple ways. If we start with a weak grip or a loose grip, we're definitely going to start losing that ball to the right, and it's going to cause slice shots. That being said, if we have our grip too strong, there's an opportunity there that we're going to start hooking the ball left, which is again, not a great way to stay on the golf course. If we think about a neutral grip, what I really want to do is make sure I bring my left hand in for a right-handed golfer, where it's in the fingers, not through the palm, and then it's going to create a V pointing up to my right shoulder with 2 knuckles showing on the left hand. From here, I'm going to bring my right hand in. It's up to you whether you interlock, overlap, or baseball it. I have no preference. However, again, it's going to be really important that we get that V created through the thumb and the forefinger pointing up to the right shoulder. If the V is pointing too much over to the left shoulder, it's quite weak. And again, if it's pointing too far outside the right shoulder, it's going to be quite strong. So from here, place it in the fingers, have the V pointing up to my right shoulder, bring the right hand in again, match that V up to the right shoulder, and I'm good to go. Step number 4, my top tip coming at you is to improve your tempo. All too often do I see amateur golfers go out there and they go too hard at it. They lose their tempo, then they lose their strike, and then consistency is nowhere to be seen. So my top tip for you, I want you to go on the count of 4. So number 1, we're going to move that club away and get to the top of the backswing. The top of the backswing is number 2. Down into transition into the golf ball is number 3. And then hold the follow through and say number 4. Let's give that a go. So I build the setup. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. There you can see it really helps me stay in control of my tempo, which is going to add consistency and get me firing the ball down the target. My 5th top tip for you is to control your elbow, especially your trail elbow. So therefore, for a right-handed golfer, it's going to be your right elbow. For your left-handed golfer, it's going to be your left. What we really want to see is when we make a move to the top of the backswing is this right elbow is trying to stay a little bit more in front of the shirt seam and not falling behind. It's going to really pay a big impact on how you make that transition and downswing. If I can keep that elbow in front, that's going to allow me to drop on plane and come down into the golf ball. If I get that right arm flying and too far behind the shirt seam, it's going to really influence that over the top movement. Just a quick drill to help you with this is if I build a setup, place my left hand underneath my right tricep. From here, if I turn and make a backswing, you can see there how that puts that elbow into the perfect position to then drop it into the slot and turn through the golf ball. Step number 6 is to make sure that we hit down to get the ball to go up. All too often do I see the low point for golfers fall too far behind the golf ball as they try and sweep it up into the air. In fact, we need to do the opposite. We need to make sure that we're picking a spot in front of the ball and hitting down through that. So a simple step that we're going to do is build a setup. From here, we're going to try and imagine a little point in front that I'm going to try and sweep the club across every single time. There we go. There's one in front, two in front, and three in front. A simple drill that you can do. Grab a marker or a T-peg, pop that down just in front of where you would imagine that golf ball to be set up. And then in that practice swing, build it and try and remove that in the process. If we can't do that, we're not ready to put extra consistency into our game and get the ball traveling down the target. So build a setup, pick a point, a couple of inches in front of that golf ball, and then from there, try and execute it. Step number 7 is to make sure you hold your finish. It's no surprise that when we watch golfers on telly, we see them finish in a very still, static position, and it's not just to watch the ball flight. So every day when I see amateurs practicing, playing, how often do we see them finishing off balance in one direction or the other, and they find it very hard to control their strike from that point. So a simple little step I want you to do is start off nice and slow. There's no need to rush through this. Let's try and make a few slow swings to start with where we finish and we hold the pose for the camera. Once we can do it that speed, let's then try and build that up a little bit. And then let's try and build that up a little bit more. Perfect. Once we've got the ability to do that, then let's start doing it on the golf ball. You'll be surprised how consistent that allows you to be. It'll make us more consistent with the strike, and we'll certainly see the ball flight improve as a basis of that. Tip number 8 leads very nicely on from managing your tempo and holding your follow through. It's don't rush. How many times when we're out there we try and just bash the ball or we swing too fast and it never really leads to success. I want you to start off nice and smooth, work your way into a round of golf and swing nice and smoothly. When I'm doing that, it's a surefire way to try and find the center of the golf ball and start hitting the ball more towards the target and lowering your scores. Top tip number 9 is to know your strengths and weaknesses. Before you step up to the tee box and hit your shot, I want you to answer these 4 simple questions. What club am I going to hit? Where am I going to aim? Am I going to hit it high or low? And what's the wind doing? You might not know the answer to this yet, and that's absolutely fine. But over time, you're going to develop the experience to answer these questions or utilize your playing partners to be able to give you an insight to this. That being said, it's really important that you play to your strengths. If you know that you're good at long putts, aim to come up a little bit shorter. If you know that you're always veering off in one direction or the other, take that into consideration when we're aiming out there. Knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses, it's a surefire way to be able to develop confidence and make sure that you're improving your golf game. My top tip number 10 is to allow room for your bad shots. Now, very often do I see people who have just got into golf, they might just aim straight at the flag every single time. And in theory, that sounds great. However, not even the pros do that. It's very common for us to get an idea of our tendencies, like we said in the last one, know what my strengths are, know what my weaknesses are. If I can understand my tendencies, that's going to allow me to aim better. If I know that I always hit it to the left, I might have to start aiming a little bit more out to the right. Once I get the hang of this, this is going to allow me and provide me with opportunity to be able to aim for a target that's going to give me and allow for a positive outcome. Once I can do that, I'll be on the way to shooting lower scores and enjoying my golf a little bit more. Tip number 11 leads on nicely from what we've already discussed. It's about picking the target. What I see all too often is amateur golfers just focusing purely on their golf swing and their technique as they're trying to hit shots. My top tip is save the technique for the driving range. Make sure that when we get on the course, we're about to try and pick a target. If we're hitting a long shot, let's try and focus on a specific target. That might be a tree in the distance, it could be an overhanging wire, it could be anything. When we're on the green, let's pick a small patch of grass and let's try and roll that ball over it. By thinking more about the target and less on our technique, we're definitely going to start hitting more accurate golf shots and having a lot more fun out on the golf course. And my top tip number 12 is to find an instructor. How often do we see people trying to grind it out on the range or binge watch YouTube tutorials to try and help improve their game? When it comes to instruction, you'll definitely not regret it. They can give you a more tailored approach, make sure they've got something that's definitely right for you, specifically to help improve your game and your form when you're in that session. And my top tip number 13 is to make sure you get custom fit for your clubs. Now, I'm not saying you have to go out there and spend a year's worth of salary on clubs just to make sure that you've got the latest product. But getting fit by a professional is definitely going to help get the right shaft length, the right shaft flex, and the lie angle that's going to suit you, your game, to improving your swing. When it comes to club fitting, that golf professional is going to make sure that that set of clubs is manufactured specifically for your height, your stance, your setup, and your club head speed. And my top tip number 14 is to consider the mental game. Now, golf's exhilarating. We want to just get out there, we want to have fun, and we just want to hit the golf ball. But it's really important that we consider our mental side. As an amateur golfer, it's very easy to beat yourself up over a bad shot. If we're stressed, anxious, it's definitely not going to lead to the perfect swing. Now, the perfect swing might be impossible, but if we're cool, calm, and collected, that's definitely going to help me hit better golf shots and accept the result and the outcome. I hope that my golf swing tips have helped take you one step closer to the desired outcome. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment down below, and I'll be sure to see you in the next video.